Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of November 1st. Well, I apologize for the lateness of this report. We've had some technical difficulties. I think I got them straightened out now, so let's just hope we can get through the report. And we do have a lot to talk about, so let's just get right into her. Hey folks at Ozaukee County, there that work for Ozaukee County, can you please send somebody over to just scrub off the window that is in front of the fish camera? Because it's getting dirty and you can't really see anything. And so, what's the point of having a camera if you can't see anything? Every now and then you will see salmon swim by. You really just see their shapes. And the salmon are up in the rivers. We will talk about that a little bit later. But I called last week about this, and apparently the message didn't get passed along. So hopefully they can get somebody over there and take care of that. So I don't know if you guys heard, but there is an election on Tuesday. So obviously you've heard about it. It's we're a swing state. We've been getting beat over the head with this stuff every 5 minutes. I guess I'm just kind of piling onto that here. But I do want to remind folks to get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Let's just get everyone out there to vote. Let's get past all this, okay? Because it sucks. I'm over it, and let's just move on with our lives, okay? So get out there, vote. My Vote Wisconsin, great website if you need to find out any information about where to vote or what's going to be on your ballot or anything like that. The folks at Line Workers over there in Mount Horeb doing great stuff, teaching folks how to fly fish and fly fishing related topics, having a social event Thursday, November 14th, and again, December 12th. This is at Icky Sticky, which is a coffee/ice cream store. You can go as a beginner, you can go to watch, you can go as an expert, but go. Yeah, check it out. These events are super cool, and those are great folks doing great stuff over there. We got new merchant, picked up a bunch of merch. So we got new stocking caps. Well, they're kind of the same colors as we've always had. I did add this kind of calf scour yellow. And if you've ever had any experience on farms, you'll appreciate that color reference. But yeah, got all the classic colors back. So stocking caps, it's getting cold out. Hoodies, it's getting cold out. Got t-shirts, got trucker caps. Come get gifts. It's the holidays. Come get dripped out yourself in DNS gear. Also happy to announce that we lined up the Winter Seminar Series speakers. Finished that this week. So we have Brian Zupke coming in December 5th. Everybody knows Brian. He's very well known, local guide, mostly targets panfish, but he really knows his stuff. Last time he spoke, he gave out tons of great information. I'm sure this will be no different. He'll be talking about panfish options on the Madison chain. Pat Westberg was in last year and talked about panfish plastics, but this time he's going to be talking about tip-up tactics. And he is a very knowledgeable person, just recently retired, and he's going to start guiding again. He used to guide back in the day, and he's going to start guiding again. But yeah, super knowledgeable. He's got a lot of really interesting tricks and tips for putting big pike on the ice. So you'll want to catch that if you like catching those fish. December 12th. Jim Kasuda, a.k.a. Mendota Jim, is going to be talking about shallow water bluegills. We had him in 2 years ago. He talked about deep water perch, but he's a panfish guru. He's pro staff for Clam and Vexlar, knows the Madison chain like the back of his hand, and he's going to be talking about chasing big, shallow water bluegills on December 19th, and probably talk about perch too. So anyway, yeah, really looking forward to those, and those will be we'll be kicking those off the week after we come back from vacation. I made a post about this earlier in the week. We're doing the annual being closed from this time it's November 16th through the 29th. So mark those on your calendars that we will be closed here. It's something we do just to give us a break from the shop, get out and do some deer hunting, get out and do some fishing, get out and eat a bunch of turkey with family. And yeah, it's a very slow time at the shop, so it works out well for us. And other announcements we got on the front door here. Jam for Cans is an event at the Cottage Grove VFW. We're happy to support that with a donation to their raffle. The Deer Hunters Sight-In at the Stoughton Conservation Club is happening November 9th and again on the 16th. They got a really cool facility out there. I've been out there for this event. It's very well run, and you know, if you don't really know what you're doing as far as sighting in a gun, or you want some help from an expert, they got folks on hand. So it's $10 per firearm. So, and it benefits a great cause. So get out there and check that out. Otherwise, I think we can get into the report, right? Yeah, so it was another dry, pretty warm week here in Madison until Wednesday night when we got about 2.5 inches of rain. Windy, cold front pushed in yesterday, and it's going to be a little chilly this weekend. But this is the time of year to get out and do some fishing. We're going to be talking about why, but it's mostly related to turnover. And yeah, I guess we'll just get right into that. So turnover, a topic of much discussion here at the shop. A lot of folks want to know if the lake has turned over. Short answer is yes, it has. All the lakes have turned over, but there's some debate back and forth with some folks. So I decided I would call or contact the folks at the limnology department. They're the ones that run the buoy. They monitor the lake very closely. They say the Lake Mendota officially turned over on October 23rd, so that was last Wednesday. But what happened was it got kind of warm after that, and then there was another little blip of cold water that formed down in the bottom of the lake, and then it sort of caused like another mini turnover on Wednesday into Thursday, they say. So, but the lake has turned over. This is, right during and just after turnover, it can affect fishing. The water's probably a little cloudy out there right now, but after turnover happens, the water clears up, and it is seriously some of the best fishing of the year, in my opinion. So, want to thank the folks at Limnology for all the great work they do, and yeah, let's get into some good fishing out here. With turnover behind us, all your fish, but especially game fish, have their fall feed bag on. And while worms are always a safe bet for panfish, folks chasing game fish with live bait this year are using larger minnows. Generally speaking, most fish are moving shallow. There are fish to be found on the mid-lake humps, but shoreline breaks near shallow water, and especially anywhere you can find weeds, is a great place to start. Bluegill action around town has been slow this week, but look for them in 10 feet of water or less, and anywhere you can find weeds. This time of year, you'll likely find fish. The bluegill bite off the Monona Terrace Wall has slowed, but it sounds like the gills have moved into Monona Bay in good numbers. So, if it's gills you're after anywhere on the chain, though, a small jig tipped with a piece of redworm, spike, or waxworm is really all you need. Crappies continue to be elusive around the chain, but are being found here and there on weed edges and near structure. Folks have been getting some in the evenings off the Monona Terrace Wall, and they've also moved into Monona Bay with the bluegills. No matter where you fish for crappies, a crappie-sized minnow or a minnow-shaped plastic on a small jig is a pretty safe bet for those fish. As far as perch go, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I really just am not hearing much in the way of reports. I'll talk about that a little bit later. As far as bass go, largemouth are up shallow and biting, but with the cooler water coming in, that action's slowing down. So you're going to want to slow down your presentations. Folks have been doing well on chatterbaits and swim jigs for largemouth. Smallmouth, on the other hand, have been still very active on shoreline breaks in 10 to 15 feet of water, but also in much shallower in spots, rocky areas, and if you can find weeds, even better. On the live bait side of things, large minnows like a shiner chub or small sucker has been working well. Otherwise, for lures, paddle tail swim baits are hard to beat, and you'll likely find walleyes mixed in with those fish. Speaking of walleyes, I guess, in addition to rocky, weedy areas, walleyes are continuing to be found on mid-lake humps, but mostly, near rocky breaks, near shallow flats. And as we get closer to ice, that bite's only going to improve. Those fish will continue to move shallower to the point where you can catch them in shallow water in the middle of the day sometimes. And again, on the live bait side of things, large fatheads, blacktail chubs, small suckers, all great choices for walleyes. Aotherwise, if you're chasing them at night, toss a paddle tail or a jerk bait, and run a bobber with one of those minnow options below it. Pike are bulking up for winter all around the chain. Action on Mendota has been exceptional. Muskie bite's been good, and now that turnover is behind us, that's when most people really start putting a sucker out there. Area rivers and streams are running low, but got a little bump from that rain Wednesday. The tributaries to Lake Michigan have also been running low, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. As far as details on the report go, up here in Cherokee, the weeds are cleared out up there, and so you can cast. I've heard about a little bit of good bass and pike action up there. The 113 bridge usually offers a nice mixed bag of fish. All I've heard about recently is some walleyes coming out of there, which is great. But yeah, no catfish that I've heard about. Speaking of catfish, they're back out in the lake. You'll never know where you'll run into one. Popular spots are University Shoreline, Tenney Park, and the Warner Breakwall, but you can literally find them anywhere. As far as panfish go, Mendota, I should say too, that fishing on Mendota has sucked this last week with all this turnover back and forth and stuff. But, assuming that turnover is winding down and the conditions are clearing up, we'll just go with bluegills being found in shallow weeds, less than 10 feet of water. Also on mid-lake humps, though, and, some good numbers of those fish, and surprisingly deep sometimes too. But if you can find some weeds, you'll likely find gills. You'll likely find some crappies mixed in with those fish, and some dandies too. The crappies I've been hearing about on Mendota have been really nice. As far as perch go, That's your guess is as good as mine. I mean, there. I've been hearing about some perch, schools of perch, big schools of perch being marked out here in 20, 30 feet of water on the west end of the lake, but they've been pretty tight-lipped from what I hear. As far as what's else, walleyes. Or let's talk about bass. Largemouth bass are up shallow. You don't want to slow down your presentation for those fish, but the smallmouth bite's been great. Areas like Maple Bluff, Governor's Island, Picnic Point have all been holding fish. There's just a lot of smallies around. You can find some rocks, you'll find fish. You can find some weeds, you'll probably find even more fish. And like I said, walleyes mixed in with those fish. So shallow areas adjacent to shallow flats, or shoreline breaks adjacent to shallow flats are great. Mid-lake humps, walleyes, you find them out there mixed in with some of those dandy Lake Mendota bluegills. Pike are got their fall feed bag on and are biting just about everywhere, especially on Mendota. They've been really active. Walleye bite down here at Tenney Park at the breakwall has been great at night. Also Warner Park to a lesser extent and the University Shoreline. But Tenney Park's always a pretty safe bet. Fishing below the locks has been slow, but there have been I've heard some good walleye reports out of the river itself, sometimes in the middle of the day even. Good walleye action and night fishing down here where the Yahara dumps in. Otherwise, that's just a good spot for a nice mixed bag of fish usually. But the walleye bite this time of year down there gets pretty good. Panfish all around Mendota have moved up shallow or into Monona Bay. The panfish bite off the Monona Terrace wall has been slowing down, but the crappie bite has picked up over there, so they've been getting some nicer crappies over there. Crappies have also moved into Brittingham or Monona Bay in the Brittingham Park area. A lot of bluegills coming off like the area down here by the what do you call it, pavilion, but also in the triangles. So yeah, great time of year for those fish, and they'll be there all winter. As you know, it's a very, very popular ice fishing spot. Lake Winger is Lake Winger. You know, a lot of small gills, some bass. The muskie bite over there has been good, although those fish aren't like the giants that you hear about out on Lake Monona. And I've been hearing about a few nicer fish getting caught out here. The walleye bite along this kind of western, southwestern shoreline over here along John Nolan. That bite's been picking up lately, so we get maybe not as good a numbers of walleyes as Mendota, but size seems definitely better over there. Chervil Bay, Weechowuk Bay also should be holding panfish. Also panfish over here in the Mud Lake dredge hole as the weeds die back here on the flats surrounding the dredge hole. That'll concentrate bass into what weeds are left up there. So use that to help find fish. Bluegill bite, you know, in the lake farm area has been good. Some bass up there. Same thing down in the South Bay. Also some bluegills out from Babcock Park and this whole shoreline actually. You know, from Babcock down to Bible Camp and beyond has been good. And some walleyes out there too. If you can troll the breaks, the trolling guys have been catching fish and jigging. So anyway, the bite down there has been good. Good action on Lake Kegonsa in the Fish Camp Park area. What you might run into some dirty water. I think they're still dredging up here at the AB Bridge. Otherwise, also good panfish action down near the state park. It's kind of southeast end of the lake, I guess. Walleye action is usually pretty good out here off the breaks off Williams Point over there. Indian Ford dams, Jefferson dams on the Rock River have been producing a nice mixed bag of fish. Brian down at Bait Box on the Rock there in Fort Atkinson has been reporting some better walleye action. Now they dealt with high water all summer. Then they had as the water came down, then the walleyes didn't really know where to go. But now they're back in their normal haunts. I think up here, kind of Black Hawk Island area has been good. But good to see some nice walleye coming out of there. What else do we got? I guess I haven't really heard much out of Beaver Dam. I did hear about a good crappie bite in the river below there. Haven't heard much for walleyes, and there's a bunch of cats in that river or that lake. Speaking of lakes, Devil's Lake sounds like the trout action's picking up as that water cools. Those trout will start to cruise the shorelines. You can find them a lot of times down on the south shoreline, and that's fun. You know, catching trout in a lake is a nice change of pace. And there's some dandies in there too that I hear about sometimes. Wisconsin River is low, and but what that does is concentrates the fish in deeper holes. So back at downstream sides of sandbars, corners, stuff like that. Shoreline structure is good, but you know, and all the way up and down the river, it's like that. But also dams too. So Prairie du Sac Dam. Been hearing about some white bass over there, some walleyes. A couple sturgeon actually being caught on accident. But Lake Wisconsin has had a fantastic walleye bite lately. A lot of good numbers. Size sounds like it's been a bit of an issue. You got to sort through them to find some keepers, but who cares? I mean, you're catching a ton of fish, and it's great fun. Good panfish action in the bays up here in Lake Wisconsin as well. But like I said, same thing all the way up and down the river. Wisconsin Dells Dam, Pete and Well, Castle Rock dams, nice mixed bag of fish at all those spots. Um, Smallmouth action's slowing down a little bit on the river though, but there's good walleye to be caught. Um, Mississippi River, if you're heading over there, sounds like good action on wing dams per usual this time of year. Walleyes, smallies. I talked to a guy who's been getting some good perch over there on weed lines. So, like I mentioned in the intro, the salmon run is happening in Milwaukee. It continues to happen. Super cool time of year. According to the Root River Fish Report, which is another tributary over there south of Milwaukee and Racine, they just harvested fish over there yesterday to get their eggs, and they had a huge fish push of coho salmon come up. And it sounds like the Chinook salmon or king salmon are pretty much winding down. Cohos are moving in. I love fishing cohos. They're aggressive. They'll chase down baits, where the kings are just kind of zombies. But also browns and where are we here? The map. Browns and rainbows, steelhead, are being found out in the harbor and moving up the rivers too. They feed on salmon eggs and salmon flesh, but also the browns will spawn in the end of November. Steelhead hang out and also eat their eggs, and then the steelhead some of them will hang out all winter in the Milwaukee River and the other tributaries over here, and that's great fun too. So, yeah, we could use some rain. That'll push more fish up for sure. But for now, we'll just report it as it comes. Other than that, I guess what do we got? Happy Fly Day feature. Let's see if I can bring my thing up there. I didn't really know what else to talk about except for more salmon stuff. So with the cohos moving in, they will chase down meaty flies like this. You just wave it in front of their face. They like streamers and stuff too. Browns and steelhead, like these buggy-looking nymphs with a kind of a hot spot bead on them, are great. Streamers like these Beldar buggers are great. And yeah, get in here, pick up some flies. What I like to do when I'm tossing like a meaty streamer too is I'll run an egg behind it because they're feeding on the eggs. So I like a bead style, and we carry a bunch of those. You can also run these on spinning rods if you want, and super effective. But we also have traditional glow beads and hair beads. I don't know what you call them, but traditional beads for catching salmon and trout. So I think that's it for the report. I do appreciate you tuning in. Sorry again about this being so late, but it looks like we recorded just fine here. And again, get out and vote. I want to wish everybody good luck in the woods. I'll be heading out to the woods here in just a little bit, actually. And I'm lucky I got the report done. And good luck on the water. Post your comments and catch us below. Call 241-4225 if you want us to expand on anything we talked about here. And otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and good luck.